Alright.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Voice of Ofir, a new video series presented by the CN Gwent Snapshot Team, in which we will invite a foreign Gwent content creator and pro player to sit down and chat about their story with Gwent, and discuss the general state of the game with another popular Chinese Gwent player. We have wanted to do this kind of interview podcast for quite a while now, and as an opportunity to connect the Gwent communities across the world, especially with the Chinese community, because it's kind of more isolated compared to the others. So yeah, we are just very excited to be finally able to do this kind of stuff and present it to you guys. I am your host, Paranoid82, and today we have on our channel one of the most popular streamers on Twitch and a renowned competitive player and content creator for Team Leviathan Gaming, Spyro, and one of the best casual players in the world, winner of the latest qualifier, Demarcation. How are you guys doing?
Not bad. Just entering lockdown today for the coronavirus.
Oh yeah.
Finally into the lockdown, but I mean, I guess as a streamer, it doesn't affect me too much. Just doing my usual routine, I guess. Not too much is gonna change.
I'm also doing Zoom. Like you can see, like I'm just chilling out in my dorm. Like it's cool for both before the virus situation. Like I guess it's time to let it then.
Yeah, just lots of Gwent time, I guess.
Yeah, like for me, I'm living in Montreal. Like the government didn't really say we need to stay at home, but because like all the restaurants and all like the cinemas are closed, so like I literally don't have a choice other than just staying at home and playing Gwent all day. So, which is fine with me.
Probably safest at least.
Oh yeah, that's true. So like Spyro, you have been a competitive player and creating content for Gwent for how long now? A year?
Well, I've been playing Gwent since the beginning of open beta, so that's like 2.5 years now. I only started streaming, I believe it was it's about a year and 3 months ago when I started streaming. But I was playing Gwent since the beginning of open beta. I just didn't stream before then because the internet I had wasn't quite capable of streaming back then. Because South Africa, obviously, our infrastructure on internet isn't as good as most other countries. So before then, I didn't have the internet ability to stream. So I wasn't playing. I didn't stream my games. I did play Gwent, but I didn't stream it. And only about a year and 3 months ago, I finally upgraded my line to a fiber line. So then I was able to start streaming, and yeah, I started streaming ever since then. So it's been about a year and 3 months since I've been a content creator.
Sounds good. So like, you have been streaming for quite a while now, and I really like the Common Mistakes series that you have been doing.
Oh yes,
and I find it really helpful.
There's common mistakes and there's advanced strategies. The common mistakes is more geared towards like the very simple things, and the advanced strategies is more like the more intuitive videos, which I guess are more applicable to pro ladder level. But they're both. I decided to break them into two parts because a lot of the videos in the common mistakes were very, very simple. So some people in pro ladder, for example, will already know them. So that I basically put them into two different segments. That if you feel like you know the basics, then you can go straight to advanced. And if you feel like you're just getting into the game and advanced strategy is too much for you to understand, then you can start off with common mistakes and whatever. So I decided to make two different episodes of that, or two different series rather. But it's the goal is that people can watch. If people are just starting out in the game, they can just watch that and learn the basic concepts. Because the reason why I made that series was because when I was I used to originally be a console player on PS4, so I eventually bought a PC to stream with, and I then had to make a new account and start on PC. So I had to start off right away from rank 30 rather, and I had to get back into Pro Ladder on my PC account. And while I was getting to rank 30, I was noticing people would play relatively well, but they would make one crucial mistake that if someone just told them that is a mistake, I feel like they would improve much more. So an example of this was, I was at like rank 1 or 2, and someone played they went second. They were on red coin, and they played a very, very high tempo card, and even with Roach in their deck, so they were threatening to win on even. And then they played very, very low tempo, and they gave me a pass, which is you typically don't do that. If you're trying to tempo ahead of your opponents, you want to stay ahead. But if you follow that up with a low tempo player, you kind of waste that very strong play you made. So I thought that person was playing very well, just that one small mistake actually cost him the game. So I decided, maybe if I just make a video about this, people like this might actually learn about that someone can point it out to them, and then perhaps they can improve. So that was basically the idea behind that series. Was I just saw a lot of people at like rank 1 or 2, just they play very well, but they make one mistake that no one's there to tell them that that's a mistake. So they don't quite understand that it's a mistake. So that's why I basically made that series.
Yeah, I find it really, really helpful when I'm just trying to climb a ladder and stuff. So like, how did you get into Gwent like initially?
Ooh, it's an interesting story. Like I used to, very long time ago. It was about 5 years ago from now. I used to be a competitive Call of Duty player in South Africa. So it was the team I was in. We were pretty good at Call of Duty. Every tournament we played in for a whole year, we made it to the finals. Wow. Every single tournament, we made it to the finals. So we were pretty good at Call of Duty. But eventually, I started. That was back when I was in university, and I then started going into my final year, which I was doing a BCom honors, and it started getting a bit too much for me because when it comes to Call of Duty, you got to practice a lot. You pretty much have to play like 6 hours plus a day with your teammates, and practice every single day, because I mean it's a very team oriented game, so you can't just play by yourself. You have to practice with other people, so your schedule has to be very fixed on how you have to make time that everyone else is able to practice together. And I didn't quite have enough time anymore to do that. So eventually I decided to retire from competitive Call of Duty, and I still played games, but I was more casual. I was more playing single player games, just enjoying things. And I saw Gwent came out, and I obviously really liked Gwent from The Witcher 3, as most people did. And I thought, I'm just going to try it. I started off very casual, just enjoyed the game for the lore. And eventually I started progressing, and it started becoming quite fun. But the nice thing is, it's the kind of game where you don't have to, invest super huge amounts of time, at least in the beginning, unless you're like a very serious competitive player. It is, you can play it relatively casually and still do pretty well. So I was more casual in the beginning. And eventually I started getting to Grandmaster. Back in the day, that was the highest rank you could get to in open beta. And then I started having more and more time once I finished my degree to, play some more. And I just kept playing from there. And then I believe Homecoming came out, and then I started streaming. And and ever since then, that's pretty much been it for me. Just keep streaming every day. And I think I joined TLG soon after. And then I started obviously practicing with other members of the competitive community and started trying to improve more and more as time.
Alright, sounds good. And Demarcation, like how did you get into Gwent? For you?
Well, like, if you guys are familiar with me, like I also played Gwent since open beta, but then I quit it like after I think 4 or 5 seasons, because there's like the famous midwinter patch where like they
yes,
where like they introduced like tons of like visual bugs and like great mechanism, like it wasn't very interesting. It just basically like copy paste from the first stone. So I decided to quit after that. And also like it was a year that I had to like get into college, so I decided to take my time on other stuff. But then like they released the Gwent on iOS, so I decided to give it a try again. And I found it pretty interesting, like after Homecoming, like all the new mechanisms, and especially like the new faction thing. I think like mechanism is really very very unique. So, but like before Homecoming, like I was playing Hearthstone like most of the time, but then I saw Gwent. I was actually a bit annoyed by like the randomness in Hearthstone, so I decided to give it a try to Gwent, where like they just basically advertise Gwent as like a game that is like more focused on skill and less on randomness. And it was actually pretty so I think it was like pretty skill based at the beginning until like they introduced like creative stuff and like bribery, like other
bribery. What a fun card.
So that's how I got it. Beginning. Right, first time was just because like I decided to give a try, and second time just because like they released iOS, I decided to.
Okay, so was only a few months ago that we got back into it then, because iOS came out in December or December, right? Or November? When did iOS come out? I can't remember. Was it December or November?
I think like December, maybe? Or late November?
I think it was like October, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, so that early? Okay, never mind. I thought it was a bit later, but okay, so that's still relatively recently. So
Yeah,
still.
But like,
still
I mean, I still remember all the like mechanism of the games. It really wasn't like really hard for me to get into the game like really quickly. So I think I get like pro ranking like 3-4 days.
Wow.
Like pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's quite quick. I mean, I think you can get to pro rank theoretically. It takes you about 100 games, because when I got to pro rank on my PC account, I remember my win rate was 110 to 10. So I think I played like 120 games in total. So I thought, okay, if I was 110 to 10, then if I theoretically went to 100 and 0, I probably could have got to pro rank in 100 games. So I think it's about 100 games you need to get to pro rank if you just win every single game.
Yeah, I mean, I was like running pretty hard these days. Like in the beginning, like I play like 50 games a day. Like when I first get back to Gwent, but like nowadays I try to like play not more than 20 games a day.
You don't actually play that much from what I've seen on leaderboards.
Yeah. I mean,
actually
there's like a reason for it. Like, I think like when you play more than 20 games a day, you cannot just get tired and you cannot keep your optimum performance on the level.
For sure. That is definitely true. So obviously the best way to do it is obviously when you play games, it's more about quality rather than quantity. And when you if you lose a game, obviously the best way to do it is you lose a game and you think to yourself, okay, what could I have done differently? Where could I have gotten the extra point or two that I needed? And when you start playing too many games, you start playing game after game after game. You stop thinking about how you lost. Your mindset becomes, okay, let's go next. And if you start just queuing infinite games, you stop thinking about how you lost and more what's the next game, and then you don't actually improve. So obviously there is a downside of playing too many games, but
and then,
it's,
like your tilt factor also increases.
That's true.
3 games in a row, you're like extra tilt and you just couldn't concentrate on the game anymore, and you just lose more, and like your win rate decreases, and you're just basically wasting time like keeping with like 50%. I don't think it was like worth it, so I try to keep my games
I would agree.
limit to like 20 games per day. Well, I know like you're a streamer, so that's not really
it's when you stream it, unfortunately that goes out the window, because you're kind of stuck on a schedule, so you kind of just you can't exactly walk away, which is a little bit of a downside. But it's interesting, because back in the day before I was a streamer, I used to play also very little games a day. I used to play, honestly, some days I'd only play like 3 games a day. But I would have I used to, back before I streamed, I used to have a very high win rate, because the games that I did play, I was very, very focused, and also I played very, very little. So I was playing at a much higher level, so to speak, because obviously when you're streaming, you got to talk to other people, and you also got to play a lot more games. So it's kind of interesting, because before I used to be a streamer, I used to play very few games. I used to have a very decent win rate. Now it's more the other way around. Now I play a lot of games, win rate not actually that great, but fortunately is a little bit of a cost to streaming, I guess.
Yeah. So like Spyro, how are you liking streaming so far?
It's nice. It makes it more enjoyable in the fact that interact with. It's interesting, because obviously when it depends on how much you enjoy it. If you can enjoy something just by itself, it's like if you just enjoy playing Gwent, it's fine. But for me, it's playing Gwent for so many hours. It's not so as enjoyable as it would be. But obviously, when you have chat or you have people watching, you can interact with other people and you can talk and discuss. And for me, it's more fun that way than just playing by yourself. Because if I was playing by myself, I can't imagine myself being able to play for 6 hours a day. Obviously, now I do play for 6 hours a day, but the only way I can actually do that, I think, is because there's people to interact with and talk to. Otherwise, I feel like it would be much harder to put that kind of time in otherwise. But I think it's quite fun for the most part.
Oh yeah. So like, on Spyro, like, what's your favorite thing about Gwent right now?
Favorite thing about Gwent right now?
Well, like, what keeps you playing all day?
I like that there's more leader variety nowadays. Or something that I was having a bit of an issue with in the past, where it felt like every faction had like one leader ability you could use, and that was it. Like every faction used this lead ability and this lead ability and this lead ability, and there was not very much variety. Nowadays, there's a little bit more leader variety. Still, there could be more, but for now, at least, it is an improvement. I feel like there are more leaders that are seeing some play. Still could be improved, but I'm happy that it has improved a bit so far. Other than that, I like the qualifier system. I really enjoy being able to participate in these qualifiers semi-regularly. So I'm happy about that too. The change to the season 2, I think, was a good one, and I'm happy that we can play in these qualifiers. I think it's twice a month, which is quite.
And Demarcation for you?
I don't really know. Like, I'm not a fan of like recent CDPR changes on the like nickname hiding and like.
Oh yes, I
don't think like this series of change was just good. I think it was pretty like bad for the competitiveness of the like.
I agree.
The general competitiveness. So I'm not sure like, but like I just get my enjoyment from winning. I can't really complain too much. I mean, it doesn't really affect my like win rate per se, but like when you like run for like top finish on ladder, you want to check your opponent like scores. You want to identify your opponent and like you know like okay, so like how they will play like based on the like what information you know about them, and you will like identify your opponent's weakness and strengths to play around their like strategies. Like that's a common thing to like card game in general, I think. So I'm just not a fan of like them hiding all the public information like after the recent update.
I am not a fan of it either. I know most not all, but most competitive Gwent players are on the same agreement to that. I know everyone in TLG pretty much is also not a fan of the hidden information, and I know Team Eric Tuesday as well. Most, from what I can gather, at least competitive players aren't a fan of these changes either. So, I mean, I'm maybe guessing it was more geared towards either the casual side of things, or I'm not 100% sure if I agree that it's just because of win trading, because every game has the possibility of win trading. Every game has this issue, but I don't believe any game is going to this extreme measure to hide information such as Gwent. So I feel like there is a bit more to it than just that. I'm not 100% sure what other reason there might be, but I feel like there might be other reasons why they've hidden all the information. I'm just not sure what the reasoning might be, but it is something that I'm not a fan of, because not just the reasons that Demarcation spoke about are obviously very true, but the other reason I'm not a fan of it is because it's also, you lose a bit of the community feel to the game, and it's also especially noticeable when you're a streamer, because you know it's nice to go, oh look, I'm playing against this guy, I've seen him in my chat, he's a viewer, I know this person, I'm playing against him. It makes it more fun for the chat to know who the opponent is. Maybe I queue against a good player like Kulamoan or whoever, and the chat goes, oh look, we're up against Kulamoan, but now they can't see that anymore until after the game. So it feels like a little of the community aspect of the game has also been lost. And I really don't know if they'll ever revert it or change it, probably not, but it is something that I guess we're just going to have to learn to accept and move forward with, but definitely is something I'm a little bit sad about of that change.
Yeah, like this change also makes like cosmetics more awkward. Like before they show cosmetics, but like they don't show like the name. But like I like my white wolf border, so I like that. So like everyone knows me, like know it is me, like when I queue into me. So like I'm kind of in a like disadvantage position if I don't change my border.
Yeah. I believe they did change cosmetics too. Yeah.
Like I would rather like they just revert the change than just like hiding out.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate in that aspect.
Hopefully CDTR will do something about it like in the future. But yeah, who knows?
Yeah, just love to see.
So like for you guys, what is your favorite factions in Gwent right now?
I would say for me it's between Skellige and Syndicate. Now the thing I like about Syndicate is I really Syndicate's a very complex faction. A lot of the coins give you like an extra layer, and there's a lot of forward thinking. Like when it comes to Syndicate, you really have to think ahead. You got to plan how much coins you're going to generate, how much coins you're going to spend. So I feel like it rewards good plays, because you know you have to plan ahead. You got to go, okay, I need X amount of coins for Philippa, I need X amount of coins for this, I need, you know, to balance my generators, I need to mulligan because I've got too many spenders but not enough generators, or I've got too many coins but not enough spenders. And it's a very high skill deck or faction, which I really like. But I also like Skellige because, I mean, Skellige just has a soft place in my heart. I just really enjoyed Skellige throughout open beta and early homecoming, and so I still enjoy Skellige, but it's between Skellige and Syndicate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for me, I think it's like a tie between NG and Syndicate. Like, if you see my the number of games played on NG, I play like 1,500, which is like the most played faction.
Wow.
And I mean, like 1,000 of that was like before homecoming, so like it's hard to say. Like the reason I like NG, like before homecoming, was like the spy mechanism.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
But like the spy isn't really a thing right now, but
yeah.
But like I still like NG for like just for just being NG basically.
Yeah, it's kind of like me and Skellige.
I mean, the like identity of NG like changes after the homecoming, but I still think like it's a really fun faction to play. Like when you hire your opponent, but I mean it's sad and loyal, but NG just brings like more possibilities. And I think playing NG, you also have to, I mean, playing NG well, you have to like identify what deck your opponent is playing to like expect what you're gonna roll, like what situation. Also, like NG isn't like a very overpowered faction right now, so it requires some kind of like understanding to get a decent score. Unlike like Spyro, which is also like always busted.
Yeah.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah, and the other faction is Syndicate, basically for the same reason. I think it's reward scale pretty much, very much. And then I also like the coin mechanism. It wasn't really a thing before homecoming, so it's kind of refreshing for me. But like,
yeah, it's very
common thing like between NG and Syndicate, like in most of the seasons, they struggle against Scoia'tael. So
yeah,
I just like
at least Syndicate's got Timboy, I guess.
Yeah, for me personally, I also really enjoy Syndicate because like that extra layer of complexity is just like really enjoyable to me. And like I also really miss like the Spy Nilfgaard and also Alchemy Nilfgaard from Open Beta. So, like, hopefully they can bring back like the spice.
Yeah, yeah, that was a very interesting deck. That was it. But yeah, Spy Nilfgaard. I hope it comes back at some point. It was definitely one of the most iconic decks I find in Gwent history.
I feel like Spy's gonna get some love in the recent.
I hope so. I hope
hopefully. I mean,
I think one of the.
Sorry,
I think one of the biggest reasons why Spy Nilfgaard got hurt so much was because of the 2 bronze limit. I think that really hurt Spy Nilfgaard because the Spy Nilfgaard deck very highly benefited from the 3 bronze copies. You could play the Emissary into Emissary into you could chain Emissaries, and it benefited quite a lot from its bronze core. I'm just not sure if because obviously in Homecoming there's been a big change in focus. In Open Beta Gwent, the focus was bronze cards, but in Homecoming it's more focused on the gold cards, and I feel like Spy Nilfgaard got hurt the most from that change because 2 bronze copies make it very difficult to try make a synergistic bronze core that's good enough to make a full Spy archetype around it. So I'm not sure if it's going to be how they're going to make it come back, but I would really like to see Spy Nilfgaard come back in some form or another.
Yeah, like I think most decks since Homecoming are like generally based around like gold cards. I think like I think the only meta deck that I could recall that is based on bronze cards is Voltest and like the Commandos and stuff.
Oh yes.
Is there any other decks that is supposed around?
I would say Great Souls also quite
Great Souls, of course.
I mean, Skellige is just a faction that belongs on bronze most of the time, right? I mean, that's kind of Skellige's identity.
Yeah,
like,
Skellige.
Like busted bronze engines. Like it's fun to move. Like even now, like the Great Soul decks or like the Priest, the blue combo, it's just based on bronze engines.
Yeah, Skellige has a lot of.
Skills are pretty like
average,
I guess. So
I agree.
Yeah. Alright, moving on. Like, so about the current meta of Gwent right now, like, how would you guys rate, like, maybe out of a scale of 10, like, how would you guys rate the current meta right now? Because for me, personally, I think it's quite balanced, like, maybe except for Northern Realms, like, all of the other factions are seeing play on ladder, so, like, what's your take on the meta?
I honestly, I in terms of variety, but the biggest issue I have right now is coin flip in the meta is really oppressive. I feel like getting red coin in so many matchups can put you at a very big disadvantage, which can be quite frustrating sometimes. Like some days you just queue in and you get like, I don't know, 8 or you just get a string of a lot of blue coins and your opponent just keeps pushing and winning on even. And sometimes there isn't a whole lot you can do about that. You just got to accept losing on even, which can be quite frustrating. But in terms of variety, I think it's not too bad. It's just some of the decks right now, the whole coin flip abuse, I feel like is a little bit oppressive in some aspects, especially like, for example, monsters, for example, if they get red coin, it can be very, very difficult not to lose on even or at least trade down really badly. And it just feels like a lot of decks, just the objective is get red coin, win on even, and then get double final say and be happy, which I feel like is a little bit frustrating. But overall, if I were to rate it out of 10, I would say I would give the current meta like a 6 out of 10, I guess. It's just, if it wasn't for the coin flip issues, I'll probably give it like a 7.5 or 8. But the coin flip right now is just one of the biggest issues I'm having in the game right now. So it's just a little bit frustrating sometimes.
Okay, for me, I think I'll give it a 7, like out of 10. I mean, like this season is definitely better than last one. I mean, last season Scoia'tael just beats everything.
Yeah, like, for sure.
Like a balance. But like for this season, after Scoia'tael nerf, I mean, Spyro is just overpowered in general. Like for this season, 5 factions except Inna maybe being the underdog. Like all the other 5 factions can see like maybe 1 or 2 viable decks they can get to. I would say like 25-50 pretty easily. So I would say it's quite balanced in that regard. But then the coin for the abuse is like getting more serious this patch, I think. Like with Iraq's Queen, monster being on rally is overpowering, and then like Cynical also is a very coin dependent faction in general. It doesn't really matter what deck they're playing. It's just like they get very coin, they're happy.
Yeah,
and then like Formation also really likes red coin because like for example the match with Syndicate, you basically have a very little chance to win on blue, but then always winning on even with Roman on red. So
exactly.
This matchup is just very coin flip dependent. I don't really like that,
agree.
but I don't see how like there's like an easy way to solve this situation. But like in terms of balance between different factions, I think it's better than last patch. So I would give it a 7, like out of 10.
It's just funny to me how Syndicate and Squaretal factions for so long now. Just Squaretal and Syndicate are the top 2. It's crazy. But yeah, the balance is definitely not better. It's just as you mentioned, it can be a little bit troublesome sometimes. But it's very interesting to see this. I haven't really. It's more the last week I've been seeing it. This Alvin Deadeye Ambush deck. It's pretty crazy when it actually gets all its right combo pieces and gets round control. If that deck wins round 1, like I played a game against Saber today, and he was playing Syndicate, and I won round 1 with the Squaretal deck, and in round 2 I was up by like 50 or 60 points in round 2 at some point. You play Redea, you play your Scenario, you use all your leader charges, you play your Vernociel melee row, then you play your Singram, then you play your Oak, then you play your Yavin, just throw all your points to your opponent, and they just can't keep up because it's just the amount of points that they can output in a short amount of time is absolutely insane, which can be quite crazy sometimes.
I mean, Scoia'tael is just basically like vomiting out points, like both in open beta and after homecoming. But like speaking of that, like that ambush deck, I mean that deck is also abused like red coin in general. Because that deck is kind of like a hero deck where you have to get all your gold. If you if you get a 4 bronze 10, you just lose, right? And like if you have red coin, you can get away with like just using use as 4p 5p bronzes on red without being like losing an even. And then you don't really have to win round 1 because you have all the gold that play for like 100 points in round 2. But like if you get red, if you get blue, and then you're facing like a Rax Queen, they can just easily win on even, and you have to overcommit hard to get out of that.
I agree. It's kind of how the Gwent works right now. Is just you really want to get red coin, otherwise you either have to overcommit to 1 or even, which can feel quite punishing sometimes in certain matchups.
I'm really curious if CDPR will try to do something about the coin flip and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they're gonna fix it. That's the thing. It's not a very easy. I have no idea how exactly. Because the thing is, like in certain metas, blue coin is OP. Like back in the day when dwarfs and engines were a thing, people wanted to get blue coin. They wanted to go first in engine metas. So it's difficult because in some metas, going first is better. Right now we're in a meta where going second is better. So it's. I'm not exactly sure how C got about changing that, but
I mean,
yeah,
currently there are like some matchups where you have to, like where you want to get a red coin, a blue coin, you want to go first in some matchup, but like it's pretty rare. Most of the time you want to get a red coin.
Yeah.
Like I would say, like Razor is a blue coin deck in general, because you want to win round 1, right? And
yeah,
like,
yeah.
But like in mirror you want to get red, but like against other decks you want to win round 1. So like the plus 5 strategy, going first, like increase your chance of winning round 1. So like but I agree, like coin flip ability is basically a really huge problem right now. And I think they can fix it anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they would do it though.
Like for the two biggest factions right now, Syndicate and Squirtle. I think Squirtle has been like in tier 1 ever since like Mystic Echo has been like dominating the meta, and yeah, like do you guys think it will get nerfed again for Squirtle? Because I think it has like CDPR has already like nerfed a lot of the cards already.
I think maybe Singram is a bit too strong as an 8 provision card. That card, I'm pretty sure the average value Singram plays for, like if you could see the average points Singram plays for, I'm pretty sure it must be like 12. And it's an 8 provision card. It's like really, really strong. Yeah, maybe more. Yeah, maybe possibly even more than 12. But it's crazy. Like the card is quite easy. It's so easy to get like 12 plus points, but a lot of times playing for like 20 plus points. But it's a pretty crazy card. I think like Mystic Echo, the Harmony decks, I think those are okay. I don't think Harmony is too much of a problem. Some of the bronzes are still very strong, like maybe the Hawk is still a bit... overall, I think Mystic Echo or just Harmony in general is okay, but the Elf package with a Singram and maybe Yaven and whatnot, I think is still a little bit overtuned. But otherwise, it's not... It's just a few cards that are problematic, and I think otherwise, if you don't look at those cards, I think the rest of the faction is okay.
And Demarcation, your take on that?
I think Scoretel is like in an okay spot in the meta right now. I mean, it's still like overpowered. I mean, the Harmony pile is like kind of balanced right now, but like the Elf, like the Venusaur and like the direct combo with Findesk, it just kind of overtuned, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't see it getting another nerf actually.
I could see like in a single
like
nerf.
Syndicate will kind of nerf Syndicate a bit, but like Syndicate like kind of rewards high skill, right? Like there's a higher skill cap if you want to play Syndicate well, whereas like score, like honestly, you don't have to be like that skilled to play well Scoretel. Like,
yeah, I agree.
You just have to draw all your gold and just
I think I definitely agree with that. Like, I would much prefer Syndicate to be overpowered than Squirtle to be overpowered, because Squirtle is the kind of deck where, like, any player that has just half decent understanding about Gwent can do very well with Squirtle. And I actually got really frustrated about this last season, where Squirtle was like by far the best faction. Because I would play against so many opponents that would play it really, really badly and win, because Squirtle was just insane. But with Syndicate, even though Syndicate is very, very strong, if you play Syndicate very badly, you're probably going to lose a lot of the time, because Syndicate is a kind of faction where you still have to play it well. It might be overpowered in some aspects, but at least you still have to play it well. Whereas Squirtle, at least in the past, you didn't even have to play it well. You could just play your cards, and most of the time was good enough to just carry and win. So I much prefer Syndicate being overpowered than Squirtle.
Yeah, last season I was like playing kind of meme cards in Squirtle, like Thursday and other stuff. Like not really calling out the people were putting into the deck, and just basically still getting like decent score with it. Just to see like how overpowered the faction is. and I don't really think like it requires that much skill like to play harmony well. Like you just
Yeah.
harmony blocks, and that's basically it. But with Syndicate, it rewards high skill, so I would agree.
Yeah, like I would personally also prefer like Syndicate to be in tier 1 because it just like rewards the more skilled players rather than just making things overpowered and stuff. But yeah. And I think Northern Realms is kind of in a bad spot right now. Like on Pro Ladder, I have only seen people playing like Drog decks, and that's basically it. Which feels kind of sad since NR has been quite good in the past patches with Siege and stuff, and also Radia. So like, how do you guys think CDPR might try to fix NR in the future patches?
I think their bronzes need to be a bit better. I feel like Northern Realms is really weak bronze in general compared to other factions. Their bronzes don't really synergize that well together. Like most of their bronzes are just playing as just 6-4s, which is okay. 6-4 isn't bad, but they aren't really synergizing one up. Like in round 1, NR typically just plays. It's typically just going to play something like a Mauler and maybe a Radavid Royal Guard, and just try not to lose on even, and then maybe get out. The goals aren't terrible, although they did get nerfed quite a bit. But their goals aren't that bad. It's just their bronzes. They don't really have that much synergy together. It kind of feels like when you're playing NR, you're playing shoot even when you're not playing shoot, because your bronzes are all just playing for their own value. They're not really synergizing very well together. I feel like one way you can improve NR without making it like overpowered or anything is just try make some more synergistic bronzes that work well together, or something about the bronzes. I just feel like the bronzes are a little bit boring/weak. I'm not sure, but I feel like the bronzes could be a bit better.
Yeah. Demarcation?
I don't understand like the CDPR's nerf on season.
Oh, you mean the trebuchet? Yeah, I don't understand either.
Like at that point.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
I don't get it, but I guess like the biggest problem for NR right now is leader ability. I mean, if you compare NR's leader to like other factions, like most of them are just bad. Like
yeah, that is true.
Like Pincer maneuver is like the best ability before the nerf, and then like the nerf is 3/6.
Really hard, yeah.
Which is like
it kind of counts.
Ridiculous. I mean, we only nerf like Mr. Gecko by 1p, I think. So I don't understand why they like nerf so hard on NR. And like literally the only the only two viable leader abilities like this is Slash, which is kind of mean.
It's like a worse blood money.
Yeah. But like NR just has no choice but to play this leader, even though it's kind of like a meme.
Yeah.
So I guess they have to kind of fix NR's leader ability. Like I think like the stockpile and meme are just kind of like a meme at the point.
Yeah.
Like,
Stockpile especially.
just doesn't really do anything. Like you have to really reconsider like the leader ability where you have like cooldown mechanism. Most of the cooldown
that's
bad at the moment. So yeah, and I even has 2 of them.
Yeah, cooldown leaders are just they kind of got a power creep because back in the day they were okay because most leader abilities right now that are playing actual cards, the overall average value of cards is increased. So like something like Pincer maneuver. Yeah. So like Meave right now, the problem with Meave and other cooldown leaders is if your opponent bleeds you in round 2, even if your opponent goes a card down, they have a leader in round 3 and you don't have a leader. Yeah, so they kind of can bleed you in a way where they don't even care if they go a card down most of the time because they think to themselves, okay, if I do go a card down, oh well, I still have a lead in round 3 and you don't. So that's one of the biggest problems I find with these cooldown lead abilities is they just don't have anything in round 3.
Yeah, they can be good like when they get red, but when they get blue, they just like wasting points.
Yeah.
Like your opponent just doesn't care because they have like a leader ability in round 3 where you don't have a leader.
Yeah.
Right, so talking about leader abilities, we are going to have 6 new leader abilities by the end of the month. So, and NR is also getting one that seems quite interesting, Uprising. And I guess we can just go over all the new leader abilities, and we can start with Anarchus. We were just talking about it. So, like, what is your guys' take on the Uprising ability? Because for me, it kind of feels like an improved version of me, basically.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking first of all. What does it do again? It's boost 4 units. You get it's boost a unit and you get 4 charges, and then when you use the last charge, you spawn and play a Incitement. Yeah, it seems like the nice thing about that is, as Demarcation pointed out, is that when you're on Blue Coin, for example, and you have a cooldown leader, you're forced to use your leader ability in a way that you don't really care because you're overcommitting at that point. Whereas this leader ability lets you choose exactly when you want to use it, so you can actually have a full leader ability in round 3. So it's kind of like a Meave in a way that you can save for exactly when you want it, and then also has like a little bit of a payoff at the end with the Lyrian Incitement. So I think it has a lot of synergies as well with engines, as well as things like what's the card called? Visigoth. I believe Visigoth gets some pretty good value on that. Oh, yeah. So it could be a very interesting ability. I think it's just an upgraded version of. I wonder though if it's going to be just exclusively for engine-based decks, or if you can use that in just a bunch of decks. I think it might actually be able to be played in quite a few different decks, in fact. So I'm very curious to see how that ends up being. So going to be very interesting with that lead ability. I think it's going to be just a much better version of me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I also think like this leader is pretty decent. The thing with this leader, like you can play them like all the charges in round 3 and play for a decent amount, and even also can kind of like spread out like in 3 rounds. It kind of reminds me of precision strike, where you have like basically 3 charges you can freely distribute in any round. And then you have like a strong finisher with like 11 points swing if you save them all in round 3. So it also synergizes really well with like Spyro mechanism.
Yeah. So, the nice thing is also, as you mentioned, like the finisher, unlike Precision Strike though, this can't brick. You don't have to worry about it. A little bit better in that aspect, in the fact that you don't actually have to put a bunch of Sentinels in your deck, and you don't have to worry about bricking it, because it's spawning and playing its own cards, so you don't have to worry about the brick potential. Yeah,
and also like in this context, like comparing it to all the other NR abilities, which is just bad at the moment, I think this leader ability will see some play, because it's just like better than the other like leader in general. I think because like for the Syndicate one, I think it's pretty good, but Syndicate already has some powerful leaders, so I'm not sure how it compares with like for example Wildcard.
Yeah, I agree.
So what do you guys feel about like the Syndicate ability?
So I believe it is, what is it? You get 3 coins a round.
Yeah, 3 coins per round and decrease horde by 3, I believe.
Yes. So the 3 coins a round. So to get the full 9 points, you have to play round 2. So Syndicate, the weird thing about that is Syndicate quite often doesn't like playing round 2. If it wins round 1, it doesn't like playing 2. It's more so that your opponent wins round 1 and they want to push you in round 2. So if you're, I guess it could be good if your opponent pushes you in round 2 because you get 3 coins. But if you win round 1, you might not actually get the points in round 2 because you might just not want to play round 2 at all, because you're playing Syndicate very often when I would pass. The Horde decreasing by 3. So I was thinking about this one quite a bit. You don't actually get points from that most of the time. So what that does is it makes the Flying Redanian come out at 6 instead of 9, which sometimes can give you points because it's making it a little bit more convenient, and sometimes convenience can give you points, but it's not really giving you direct points in that aspect. Now, Sal, again, it can give you points in Sal. If you don't have enough ways to get to Horde 9, you get to Horde 6 instead. It can make your Sal be able to get down a little bit earlier, which can in turn be points. But again, it doesn't directly give you, you can't really quantify it. You can't say, okay, this leader ability is worth this points. Where it does give you points, however, is on the Jackal. But the downside of Jackal is you don't like to click it too many times. Because then it goes too tall. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that leader ability is good, but it will be very good later down the line when CDPR start adding more cards with Horde. That leader ability later could be really good if there are good Horde support cards. Right now, looking at what cards do support Horde, they aren't that great. So it's not going to give you that much points on the Horde. Getting 3 coins around is kind of nice, But at the same time, there are other syndicate leaders that do better things, I feel. But once they add more horde cards that synergize, I think it could be very, very strong down the line when more horde cards are introduced.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Spyro here. I think it's a good leader, but like from what I'm seeing, like I think wildcard is better at the moment. Like syndicate really needs some control, like, and also that it's not a faction that likes to bleed onto. Like it doesn't really happen that often. So maybe I'm just like a wild card guesser. So like I play mostly wild card on ladder, so might be a little biased there, but I just think if they support the horde mechanism like better. I mean the problem with horde is like you go too tall, right? I mean even if you like let's say like you decrease the horde on Saw by like 3, but it still like gets removed by the same thing. It doesn't really like
it doesn't actually give you points.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Like also like Sea Jackal, like if your opponent cannot remove Sea Jackal in any way, you probably already win that game because like you get like value from Sea Jackal attack. But like if your opponent has a way, for example you're playing against NG or Mirror, you have a way to deal with Sea Jackal, then it doesn't matter how tall you go, like how much value you get from the horde, it doesn't really matter because they're just like dead anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
I guess we'll see how this leader plays out.
Like this new leader kind of gives me like similar feelings with King of Beggars. I guess like what is his name now? Off the books, yeah.
Off the books, yes.
So I mean they all kind of just like support other kind of cards, but I think they will get better if they are more kind of support for tribute and for horde in the future. I think that's when they will actually shine the meta, but I think we'll see when they actually come out. And next up, I think we can talk about like the Skellige ability, Blaze of Glory.
So that's you get to discard a unit from your deck and then you do damage equal to what you discard. So that lead ability is interesting. You can discard things like, I don't know, Yuta, which would do 12 points of damage. I'm not sure how often you're going to find something to do 12 damage to, but you could discard something like Yuta. The nice thing about that is you get to put something in your graveyard, which makes Sigdrifa a much better card. In the deck, like Sigdrifa, so one of the issues with Sigdrifa is you always need to set up a grave. It's kind of like Ozral, right? You need to set up a graveyard before round 3. Whereas with that lead ability, it's very easy to discard something from the deck in round 3, and you pretty much always get guaranteed Sigdrifa value, which is nice. You get 12 points of damage, or maybe more or less, or whatever. So that's kind of nice too. The only downside, I think, is the fact that you have to... Leader abilities you typically only want to use in round 3. It's very rare that, well, in round 1 or round 3 or round 2. You don't really use it in round 1. Typically, when it comes to discarding cards, you want to do it early on because you want to set up your grave. But because you only want to play in round 3, you have to mulligan away your discard targets. So there is a little bit of not just brick potential, but you also might have to force mulligans onto certain cards. So there is a little bit of a downside, but the leader ability... I mean, discarding a Yuta for 12 damage, if you can find something that needs 12 damage, and then set up a Sigdrifa onto it, that could be quite valuable. It's interesting with leader ability. I'm not 100% sure how exactly it's going to play out, but it's interesting. 12 damage plus a guaranteed Sigdrifa is not too bad, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with it is kind of like a one-time leader, you kind of have to play them in round 2 or round 3. So I don't see like how this leader can like synergize with Mortwag, where like it's a 5-point card and if you move it to graveyard, it goes back to the on the board. I mean, if you synergize with Mortwag in round 3, it basically just plays for like 10 point. Like it doesn't even have the singing potential because you are already in round 3, right? It also breaks your hand like in round 1 and round 2. So like I don't see how it can like synergize with Mortwag in that sense.
Mortwag probably not the great. I mean, it could be okay, but it's not great. It's 10-point leaders.
Like the obvious one is maybe like Yuta, where you have to Yuta like build it off. But I don't see like in most of matchup.
It's pretty difficult. 12 damage. Unless you're playing against Nilfgaard, maybe damage could be okay. Killing a Damien or a Stefan, I guess.
I mean, against like for example, Elf. Like this leader basically plays for Thunder, right? which like it has such a low like floor that makes me feel like it's not worth it. I mean, second way,
I think unless you can find damage and get a good Sigdriffer, if you can do that, if you can get the full 12 damage that actually removes something valuable and get your Sigdriffer enabled through that, then it's pretty good. But it's I guess it's inconsistent. Like you're not always going to do that, so it's very inconsistent. I guess you could say.
Yeah. I guess if they like really push this mechanic a bit more, like with new patch, and get some love with the like this comic together, they can see something. But right now, I don't think anything is really good.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. I think there's a card in open beta that basically does the same thing. Called Madman Wugos, I think.
Oh yes, that is true. Yes.
Yeah. I think that card is pretty good. Like back in open beta.
Yeah.
It's like he often sometimes plays like 7 for 7. I mean 7 deals 7 damage. And also steals 1 card from your graveyard basically.
Yeah.
From deck I mean. But like it's different from the leader because like, you cannot play leader on 1. So it doesn't have any stealing potential. Unless you're like kind of going on even and play the leader on 1, but like it's
yeah, that's the thing. It's very awkward having to keep this for round 3 because it's the kind of leader ability where you're incentivized to play it early, but as Gwent works, you don't want to be playing leader abilities early when you can. But...
Yeah, I think this is like a cool ability, but I'm just not sure if it's like actually enough for a leader ability to make it actually viable.
I feel like when you play this leader, like round 3, you kind of have to like mulligan every time. You get like the target card, like you want to mulligan Yuta, you want to mulligan more.
Yeah.
It kind of just breaks your hand. Like for leader ability, that is not like even that impressive. So I don't think it's worth it. But we'll see. Maybe I'm just wrong.
Yeah. And next up we have Nilfgaard, Imposter. I think it's like probably one of the stronger abilities that is revealed. Like I think I've seen a lot of discussion around it. So
yeah, it's an interesting one. It's okay. First of all, it's 13 provisions, so it is expensive. But so this is the way I look at it, right? I compare it very similarly to Seize. So it's Seize in the sense that you lock an opponent's engine, right? So you shut down their engine, and then you get the engine of your own, because it spawns a copy of it, and gets a +2. So let's say hypothetically your opponent plays, I don't know, a botchling, and you lock it, and then you get your own botchling. So you're kind of getting your own engine, and you're shutting down your opponent's engine. Now, additionally, you also set up a lock for maybe a Van Hammer or a Vincent, so there's also synergy there. And the last thing that's quite good about it is it's not brickable like Seize. So in other words, if your opponent plays, I don't know, a Goliath, for example, and you go, oh, my opponent's not playing any engines, but he's got a 10-point Goliath, I can lock that and get my own Goliath for 12 points, so it becomes a 12-point lead ability, so it's less brickable than Seize, but it's also very expensive too, 13 provisions. So it's definitely an interesting one because also, like I said, it has synergies with things like Vincent because of the lock. One thing that's going to be crazy is Nilfgaard mirrors with that lead ability would be complete. Imagine playing Damien and Stefan in that mirror. If both players are playing this lead ability, locking each other, Stefan, Damien, and just backwards and forwards. My goodness, that's going to be a weird one.
That would be a sight to behold. Yeah. Demarcation?
I would say, like, in the current meta, I think this leader ability is bad. Like, to be honest. Like, my take on this leader is, like, it kind of does well, pretty good. Like this leader ability just punish engine, like for example, if like engine is ever succeeding right now, it just punish engine so hard. But like, most of the NG decks already destroys engine decks. So it kind of does what like NG is already being good at. I mean, the reason why people play formation right now is that it has points, right? I mean, all the other NG leader, for example, in Slay, it's just so easy to play around. They can easily break your leader in a short round speed. And they don't get any points. Formation is consistent points. That's what NG needs right now, I think.
The interesting thing is, it could be a decent lead ability in tournaments. Let's say, hypothetically, you're targeting Nilfgaard, and you think, okay, everyone's bringing like Damien Stefan. If you bring this lead ability for the mirror, you would be very favored, I think. So it could be a decent like maybe tournament. Yeah, tournament like deck
Also,
perhaps.
I think like this leader is just kind of easy to play around. And then like this leader is just also bad like against Spyro in general.
Yeah, Scoit will be really bad against.
Like if you're playing against like Elf Swarm, like this leader just does nothing.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, it's really bad against Squirtle. Yeah, Squirtle will be there's like nothing to steal.
It kind of feels like this leader makes your like hard matchups even worse, and like kind of strengthen your like outs against like engine piles, but like most of NG deck already, so I don't see how this leader can be good. But also like you already mentioned, like certain is kind of like expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
Overall deck points in general, so
yeah, it's quite expensive.
Like this lock mechanism can be like synergized with other cards. It's kind of like at the moment, but
well, I mean, Vincent and it could make Van Hemmer playable in that deck specifically. It could be okay.
Like, yeah, like
but
the point is, like, if you want to lock an engine, then
it's already been dealt with. Yeah.
It's probably like 5 or 3. I mean, it's between the range, so
yeah.
It's hard to say.
I guess the logic behind that is if once you use your lead ability to lock something, it's already been dealt with. So playing Van Hemmer on something that's already been locked is anti-synergistic because you're double killing or you're double dealing with the same thing. You're locking it and you're destroying it, which is kind of, I guess, overkill. But I guess in some situations,
I can see like this combo is good against like a monster, like it can punish Goliath, for example, or like, but it doesn't trigger that switch, but it can punish tall units so far.
Yeah.
Like, but like NG is already good against tall units, like with Steamboat and all the poison package. So kind of just feel that's like what NG is already without kind of providing enough points. I mean, raw points like from Asian Dust. So
yeah,
I could be wrong.
It could be interesting that if you're targeting Nilfgaard and your opponent's playing like Damien Stefan, you bring this lead ability. Like your opponent plays a Damien, you're like, okay, let's lock their Damien and get my own Damien. That's really good, and then you get another lock because your Damien refreshed your lead ability, so you get another Damien and then you can lock again. You could actually potentially get infinite Damiens, right? You could lock their Damien, get your own Damien. If they can't deal with your Damien, you get your lead ability again. You could lock their Damien again, another Damien, just like infinite Damiens, perhaps.
Yeah, but like one thing they can do is like they can just play Damien and last.
Yeah. I mean, they still have to play Stefan. You can still do it on the Stefan, I guess.
Yeah.
Or a hefty Holger, or
it's like a bit easier to play around, I guess. You can just like trade Damien with your leader. And your leader is 50, so it's not a bad trading enemy. So yeah, we'll see how this leader plays out. It's interesting matches, but I'm not sure how it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's definitely on the interesting side.
Yeah.
Be that great, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I think like if the meta is like very engine heavy, this leader could be pretty insane if another engine somehow makes a comeback in the next patch. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this leader performs.
Yeah.
And
like
next up we have
just like already shit some like, engine pilots, so
Yeah, that's true.
oh yeah. Guess we'll see. I mean, like the patch is just right around the corner, but yeah.
Yep.
And for the ST for squad ability, Mahakam Forge. I haven't really seen that much discussion around it, but maybe just that's just because like all the dwarf reworks were released yet.
I think this is a pretty easy one too. It's basically, if you look at the current cards in the game, it's terrible leader. There's like no support. But if they add dwarfs or they rework dwarfs, I think they were talking about reworking some dwarfs. I can't exactly remember the exact discussion about it, but they are planning on reworking some dwarfs. But if there is a way to convert that armor into points, it's really good. Buffing up or giving armor to all the cards in your deck, if you can convert that armor to points somehow, is really valuable. Right now, they aren't. The only card in dwarfs that can convert armor to points is Berserker. That's the only card that converts armor to points. If dwarves has more cards like that can convert armor to points, then it's really good. But right now, there's just not enough support for it. That leader ability though, if you just look at that leader ability, by itself, it's actually a really good lead ability. But if you just look at the current cards that support it, it's really bad. It just all comes down to how much they're going to support this armor for dwarves or not.
Yeah. I guess it can be like a pretty good, like decent anti-tag against like wild boar.
Yes.
The other like lacerate stuff that try to punish like swarm decks, but like other than that, like going against decks that don't really run like wild boar and other wilder unit punish, it doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
You don't see like if CDPR sets should be more like dwarf reward or like support, like how they can transform armor into actually points on board. That is pretty good, I think. It's like it's kind of like a flow test, like in open beta where you can
that's true.
like boost all your units in your deck. So I can see like this leader ability has a really high ceiling, but then we still have to need some support.
Yeah, exactly. We need more cards like Berserkers. Cards that actually armor into point.
Yeah.
You just need more way to like utilize the armor of the dwarves. Otherwise, it's just like a 5-point leader, which is quite bad.
Yeah.
And I think they're also saying that they will add one more resilience unit for dwarves in the next patch, I think. And yeah, I think they already said, I think Jarvan Zigern has been reworked in order to work with armor, so yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
Yeah, so they're.
I mean, it's
pretty overpowered.
Yeah, they gotta be careful with that one. It's a kind of carryovers. I'm not sure. Are you sure? I know they use, but I don't know if they've actually meant like resilience in terms of like carryover mechanic, or they just meant like resilience in terms of like dwarf's ability to withstand stuff. So I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure if they mean like literally like resilience cards, or if they just mean they want to make dwarfs resilient in general, as in like they're just good against like damage cards, just resilient to damage. I'm not sure.
You're gonna see like a dwarf season.
Oh boy.
I mean, like the season I returned, it was like pretty much dwarf dominant. And pretty heavily. I guess we'll see come back then.
Yeah,
maybe.
Carry war on dwarves are quite annoying. Like Gabor is like it's just a really good card, I think. I mean, he's an engine and he has resilience, so you can use that engine several times.
He's a really good card in a really bad deck.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I guess we'll see how CDPR uses it.
I can see it being like overpowered again.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
And for the last faction leader, Monsters. So Monsters has got more support for like the Death Wish consume archetype. So, but yeah, I have no idea because I don't play Monsters at all. So, what are you guys' take on this leader ability?
So it just to make sure I'm getting it right, it is destroy an allied unit and then boost up another unit by that unit's power, correct?
Yeah, that's true.
So so you can get 3 charges. So the way I look at this leader ability is having a Karen as a leader ability, basically. So you can. The nice thing about this leader ability is that you can choose where you put the buffs. So unlike Karen boosts. If you eat things, Karen goes very, very tall. Whereas this leader ability, you can consume this unit and put the boost on that unit, and then consume that unit and put on that thing.
Like, does it like spawn like a token and then?
Yeah, it spawns like the Akimara token stuff and then boosted by the.
Yeah. So you can So it's interesting because it basically plays your leader as Karen, but you just get to choose how to distribute your points. Which I'm not sure how valuable that is. I guess it frees up some provisions. Maybe you don't have to run Karen anymore. You can go, okay, I don't need to run Karen now because I have a leader ability as Karen, so I can use those provisions elsewhere. So it opens up some deck building, I guess. Overall, this leader ability is still only going to be as good as Deathwish support is. Like, I'm not sure how good Deathwish is right now. It's kind of on the weaker side of things. You have a leader ability that's a little bit more convenient, I guess. You don't have to run Karen. So I'm not actually sure how I want to look at this leader. It's interesting, but at the same time, how much points do you actually get from this? That's the important thing. How much points do you evaluate this leader ability as? What points? What do you evaluate it as? How much point leader is it? That's what I'm not sure how to actually think of that.
actually don't know about this one. Because like, if you look at my like monster number of games, I used to play like 100. Like I never really touched the faction like 5 months, I guess. So I don't really know how this is gonna be an addition to monster faction. It kind of supports like the death wish mechanism, right? But like death wish isn't really like a thing right now. I guess with the scenario you can make some make a comeback, but I'm just not sure like how much point this leader ability can provide.
And I think this leader only has like.
Monster that much, so I can't really say I know about this one.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
And I think this leader only has like 13 or 14 provisions, which is quite low compared to the other monster leaders.
I would expect like a 15 on this one.
Yeah, it's just
a key rank. I mean,
it's weird. Like I just don't know. Like every leader ability, I can go, okay, this leader ability is with this amount of points. This leader ability is with that amount of points. But I don't know how to evaluate this leader ability because it's consuming cards that you could consume with other things. You could play a Barber Gaz that consumes it. So it's I don't even know how to actually. I don't know what number, what value I say is leader ability. I don't know. Is it a 10-point leader? Is it a 20-point leader? Is it a 5-point leader? Is it a 0-point leader? I don't know. I have no idea how to actually give a number to it.
I guess the idea is kind of that, because like all of the consume units don't really trade up on provisions, but all of the like the Death Wish units, when their Death Wish is triggered, really trades up quite well. For example, like the Axe thing. Sorry, I can't remember the name. Like the 3 power but spawns a 5.
Yeah.
Like they trade up on provisions quite well. So I guess that's kind of the idea of this ability, but I'm not sure how it will actually perform in the meta.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah. And about some of the other like leaks they discussed last week during the interview, I'm not quite sure about this one, but I think I saw someone said that Jason said they are not going to change the interaction between Bomb Heaver and scenarios for now. So
it's something I was a little bit unhappy to hear. But one of the big issues I have with Gwent, it's not. I feel like it's got a bit better. The meta's kind of moved a little bit away from scenarios, so right now it's not too bad. But I still feel like the value scenarios give is too high, and the interaction between Bomb Heaver and scenario, I think, is just very binary. Like, if your opponent plays a Passiflora and you don't have an answer for it, Passiflora can be an absolutely absurd amount of points. If you go into long round 3 against Syndicate and they have a Passiflora and you don't have an answer for it, it is crazy how much points it gives them. But at the same time, if you have a Bomb Heaver and you Bomb Heaver the Passiflora, it's crazy how much value you get from Bomb Heaver. You're playing a 5 provision card that's worth like close to 20 points, which is nuts. So I don't like this whole interaction between scenarios and Bomb Heaver. I'm not saying that Bomb Heaver is too strong. I'm saying that I feel like the interaction between the two is very binary. Do you have a Bomb Heaver? No, you don't. Well, then good luck dealing with my Passiflora in a long round 3. Oh, you have a Bomb Heaver? Well, I just feel bad now because I just lost my 14 provision card to your 5 provision Bomb Heaver. So I don't like that interaction. I feel like that interaction is very, very binary. It's like a rock, paper, scissors situation. Oh, I got a rock, you got paper, for you win.
I mean, the problem is like scenarios just has such a high power ceiling, right?
Yeah.
So like, if you don't attack against it, you just lose in a long run. Just like no other way. You kind of have to play a Bomb Heaver to like attack against it. Otherwise, it's just like it's kind of like a final reaction.
Yeah, you're forced to bleed. Like against Syndicate, a lot of the time, you play Nilfgaard, and you say, I have to win round 1. Literally, because if I lose this round, I'm going to go into long round 3 against Passiflora, and I lose the game then. You're forced. Like, you actually are forced to win round 1, just so that you can try beat it out in round 2, because otherwise you're just going to lose a long round 3 flat up, because, I mean, the card is if you don't have an answer for it, you just lose the game. It's just too many points. And I feel like that is very binary situation, so I don't know. I would like to see scenarios. They're an interesting mechanic, but I would like to see them something done about their ceiling is just too high. I feel like, and also Bomb Heaver, I feel like, is as an answer for it. You can say, okay, well, the artifacts they're really good, but there's a counter. But the counter is too easy. It's just so much like rock versus. rock and then gets beaten by paper, and then your opponent goes scissors, I guess you beat that. It's just very rock and scissors to me. But yeah.
Yeah, like more binary interactions is just like quite frustrating when playing. So yeah, hopefully CD Hero will try to do something about it. But like, I mean, I don't know how they can actually fix scenarios because they have such a high point ceiling.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah, like without a way to counteract it, it's bad. So,
yeah, it's just I don't know either. The Passiflora one has so much. They're all very highly cards. The Elf one is actually quite bad, but when you combine it with things like with Vernosiel and Singram and Yavin, it's so much points. Like the Elf one is by itself, it's actually not good, but when you combine it with Yavin, Singram, and Vernosiel, it's really good. It's the synergies that exist that make these scenarios so valuable. Like also the Syndicate one. The Syndicate one is okay. The Syndicate one by itself is also pretty good, but when you combine it with the synergies of more Seductresses and the bonded synergy, it becomes insane. So they just give like a fully proc scenario is pretty much almost always worth at least 20 points. Like a scenario that gets procced all the way is quite often like 20 points plus, which is really crazy for their provision. So I don't know, maybe just lower the ceiling a bit. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Demarcation, do you have anything to add to that?
You mean like the way how they can fix scenario bombing action?
Do you have any thoughts about it?
One way to like kind of lower the power ceiling of the scenario.
Yeah.
So like you don't have. I mean, we are seeing like a decreasing scenario in the meta right now. I guess it's because like people start running bomb memer. So
yeah, everyone. I started running it, and then everyone stopped running it.
Yeah. But once like people discover like the other players are cutting bomb memer, then we're gonna see like more scenarios. Like I already see some masquerade ball formation going around on ladder. And also the other thing with scenario is like you don't know if the opponent runs scenario, right?
Yeah.
If you keep on memory one street, you don't run scenario, you just end up with like a 4P card, that just loses the game. So that's also like kind of like a guessing game in that regard. So I guess the way to fix scenario is either to kind of like lower the power ceiling a bit, so you don't have to attack against it to like actually win the matchup. Because right now it's like for example, Passiflora, it plays for like 30 points if you can't deal with it. Like in a long, let's say like if you are on MG and you cannot kill like Seductress, like they just grew to like 15 power because like you proc them every time you play a card, right? So one way is to lower the power ceiling. The other way is kind of like to make the like bomb memer tech a little bit more expensive, I guess. Because right now it's just like a 5P card that doesn't really cost you much. You can like tag it in any day. Like you just have to swap out a 5P rounds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully CDK will do something about it in the future, but I'm interested to see what they come up with. And I think another leak that is discussed during the interview is like I think they're buffing the self-wound Skellige archetypes. I think they're changing the bear token from 5 to 6 power, and I think Sir Pumpkin has also leaked that Ceres is getting a buff / rework. So yeah, like what do you guys think like this kind of changes would affect the meta? Because like Svalbard used to be really good in the meta when he just came
Bear
out.
Abomination going to 6 points, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
That's actually the first time hearing about it now. That's a big buff because there's a lot of Bear Abomination cards. That's a buff to Totem. Now that will make Totem a 12-point card. That's a buff to the Fnatic as well. It's a buff to Svalbard's leader ability. There's a lot of cards in Skellige that get buffed from that. So that's more than just a 1-point buff. That buffs the whole of Skellige by like 5 or so points, depending how many of these cards you want to run. So that's a pretty big buff with that. That would be very interesting. The Ceres buff, I believe it's more to it that Pumpkin didn't speak about something. I believe it now spawns a copy. So if you play it on melee row and you get a copy, you still have to damage each one individually because I believe the wording on that card says summon a copy from your deck to get the second one. So if you want to get all of them out, you're going to have to damage the one, then you have to damage the second one as well. if that's how it's going to work. So it's not quite like a commander in Faltus that's going to pull out all the copies. It's going to have to, you're going to have to damage each one individually if you want to get them all out. So not quite as crazy as Pumpkin, I believe, explained to be, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I think the swap buff is quite interesting. I mean, token right now just can pay for like 12 raw point for 10p, like, which is pretty good. I guess if you can actually get it through. I mean, token is like a totem is a card like I like a lot, just because of like the pure artwork and the premium. So whenever like I don't find a card to like put in my Spyro, I just throw like. So I definitely give it a try. Like, but I never really tried like the pure sword blood archetype. I don't know like how it plays out, but
it's just a very points. The best way I could describe it is what Monsters is basically used to be, just pure points, just throwing on the boards. Kind of like what Monsters is now, what it used to be in Spyro.
I think I'm already seeing some Svalbard players on ladder already.
Yeah. Mostly Lippy, just a meme. It's kind of just a meme, unfortunately, right now. It's just get red coin, draw all your gold cards in round 1. Play your gold cards, then play Lippy, and that's the best.
Like, it's just too hierarchy. I mean, in a sense, like all the other like gold center decks are pretty much just hierarchy. Like the Deadline Ambush, the Dia deck is also like getting your gold, but like like the Leafy deck just like doesn't go anywhere if you can't get your correct card in the correct order. So, I mean, if it like ideal situation, it can be pretty good, I guess. But it's kind of dependent on the luck.
I think like for Leafy decks, if they draw really well, it can be quite insane because
it's not just about drawing well. It's you have to draw well early on, because if you draw well in round 3, it's too late. That's the problem. So like the Squirtle deck, it's fine if it draws well in round 3 and it draws bad in round 1 and 2. It's fine as long as it gets its cards at some point. It's fine. But a Lippy deck, it has to draw very well early on, so it's even more difficult than other decks.
Yeah, it's quite demanding on your luck, but So, So for the other leaders in Skeleton, as well as like all the other factions, like there are still a lot of like unplayed leaders right now, and CDPR, like for now, I think CDPR is just trying to release these new leaders instead of like reworking them. So, like, what are you guys' ideas about?
So many leaders that just don't see any play. I don't know what you're gonna do about that. Like,
I mean, like,
you have to completely rework some of them. I don't know.
It's kind of impossible to make like every single. I just don't see like how it's like a possible out. I mean, like at some point in the meta, you will have some like leaders that are unplayable. There's no way you can get all the leaders to like compete on the top tier. It just doesn't happen. But I mean, some leaders are just like a meme.
What's the? I don't know what's Krach's leader ability called anymore. What's the one damage? Onslaught. Yeah, that one is so bad. And then you also have Stockpile. That one was terrible too. Jeez. Funny thing, I actually lost to Stockpile the other day on ladder. It got me so surprised. He was playing Stockpile, and I thought I had a good pass in round 2. Little did I know that it was actually a Scorch engine deck. And I got debated really hard in round 3, and then he played like Vice Gota to offensively buff my units, and it set up a really big Scorch, and I got completely thrown off by it. So I don't know what he was playing. I thought I was like, I got a good pass here in round 2, I'm gonna take the pass, and then then suddenly a big Scorch came down in round 3, and I was like, whoa, I didn't see that one coming. It's quite surprising.
It's always quite fun to just play against like a strange deck on ladder, and you have no idea what is happening, and suddenly just lose and just
I've never really seen a Stockpile on ladder.
Yeah, it was like the first one I've seen in months.
Yeah. Like I have seen like Stockpile like many months ago before before all of the new cards came in, but yeah, right now like Stockpile just needs more support, I guess, but I'm not sure like how they can actually give more support to Stockpile, because I think one of the biggest problems with it is that like
strong. Start to be serious, like for that to work.
I mean, it's the problem with the lead abilities. It's pretty much the way I look at it is a win. So if your engines are sticking already, if your shiny is sticking, if your Priscilla and stuff is sticking, sure, you get to put some charge into stuff, which is quite nice. The problem is with that lead ability is not protecting anything. The stuff that you're putting charges into are just dying. So if they stick, then your lead ability is really good. But if they stick, you're winning anyway, because if your engines stick in Northern Realms, you're winning the game regardless. So the problem with that is it's kind of like a win more lead ability. When your engines stick, you're going to win by, instead of winning by 30 points, now you're going to win by 50 points. But the problem is, when you lose, instead of losing by 10 points, you're going to lose by 30 points as well. So it's you're going to lose by more, you're going to win by more. So that's the issue. It's not really doing anything in those games that are close in between.
Yeah, I think some players on Reddit are just like kind of too obsessed on having all players, like having all leaders.
Yeah, you can't get every leader ability. You obviously want to have, like, I would say, ideally I would say like 2 playable leaders in each faction would be like ideal. At least like two leaders in each faction would be nice. I think in open beta we actually had very close to that. I think a lot of factions had like 1 or 2 leader abilities in each faction, but I think 2 would be like the goal, but we'll see if that ever happens.
I mean, right now, like some factions can have like 3 or 4 leaders.
Yeah, some factions do have quite a bit. Yeah, like Squirtle has a couple. You can play pretty much almost any Squirtle leader ability. Oh, okay, not almost. You can play, what is it? You can play Call of Harmony. You can play Precision Strike. You can play Mystic Echo, and you can play what's the Elven Data Ambush. So there's like 4 playable leaders in Squirtle right now, which is pretty good. Syndicate has you got Blood Money and you got Wildcard. You kind of have off the books, although it's mostly Wildcard and Blood Money. Northgard is mostly just formation for the most part. And then what else is there? Skellige pretty much has Second Wind is pretty much the mostly pretty. You can play like Patricidal Fury, but it's mostly just Second Wind. But some factions do have quite a bit of variety. Like Squirtle has a lot of lead variety actually.
And finally, do you guys have like any hopes for the next expansion? Since like the next expansion will probably be released in May or in June, which is not too far away from now. So, do you guys have any hope for that? What kind of archetype?
I would really like to see spies come back from Nilfgaard. I would really like to see some kind of deck that likes that uses weather, like some kind of weather-based deck. I miss those kind of decks. I thought there was an interesting mechanic back in the day, like Dagon or Axeman. Obviously, you still have Axeman now with great swords in a way that somewhat utilizes weather, but it's not really that much. But I would really like to see weather and spies come back. I think those would be 2 very interesting mechanics to see. I'd also like to see Discard Skellige get some kind of buff. I really miss Discard Skellige. I thought that Discard Skellige back with Bran was a very high skill deck with the whole, you had to plan your hands, your mulligans, and I thought that was a very interesting mechanic, Discard Skellige. So I'd like to see that get some support too soon.
Yeah, for me, I think my biggest hope is to like see the Spy archetype finally getting some love.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of my best favorite decks, like back in open beta. Like, right now, it's not even a thing. So I guess we should all hope for like some support for Spy mechanism.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much like all I have to say. I just hope like the meta is like balanced. It's not, like not one faction getting like overkill or something. Like I don't really mind like if like there's a faction that's unplayable. Like I mean in most of the meta you have like 1 or 2 factions that are just bad. Like it's hard to like get all 6 factions on the same level. So I just wanted to say I just don't want to see like for example last season, like ST just like
tier 0.
way above others. I just don't like to see that meta. Other than that, I think it's fun.
Yeah. And hopefully with the decreased frequency of new expansions, like maybe see if I can try to decrease the amount of bugs in Gwent right now.
I feel like it's going to do the exact opposite, because from what I've heard is expansions are going to be less frequent, but they're going to be bigger. And the problem is instead of adding, let's say, 80 cards, now they might add like 150 cards. And when you add more things to the game in one shot, I think there's a bigger chance of, bugs and balance problems and whatnot. So I don't know, maybe it gives them more time to work on it, so there isn't that. But from what I've seen in the past, when it comes to CDPR, when they add big amounts of content, there is a very good chance it's going to be a lot of bugs and a lot of balance problems. Hopefully I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But every time there's a new expansion, I just sit there going, okay, what bugs are we going to discover today? What's the bugs today? Oh boy. Just have to find out.
Like, even the visual bugs on Edit right now.
Yeah.
Like
the premium cards.
Oh,
yeah. Oh yes, yeah. There's a lot of bugs right now. Fixed.
Yeah. Like overall, I think Gwent is in a pretty good state right now, and probably it will definitely be further improved with all the new leaders and expansion, and we are probably getting more players also with the Android release. So I think everything's on the bright side.
I'm really looking forward to the whole spectator mode and the community website for tournaments thing they were discussing. I really discussed that a while ago, but I'm looking forward to it. I hope it comes soon, because that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Like a tournament spectator mode will be very nice for like community members when there's like a qualifier where anyone can just watch. It'll be so nice if like imagine like in the game itself, there's like a little pop-up that says qualifiers on this date, and then people in Gwent on the game can launch the game and literally watch qualifier games from the game itself. It would be really nice to bring the community together. And maybe someone's like at rank 20 and they go, oh look, there's qualifiers now, let's see what that is. And then it might introduce players into the competitive scene, and I think they'll be really good for the game. I spoke about this in a video of mine, but I honestly feel like a in-game like tournament mode or spectator mode where anyone can watch, I think it would very much help the game. Spectator mode, in terms of viewership, in terms of like player interest, everything would be very, very helpful, I think.
Yeah, but sometimes like it opens up problems where like you can like have one player to like spectate the other player.
Oh yes, that is true. Yeah, I mean, I guess the only way to do that was if the mode has like a built-in delay, I suppose, like maybe like a built-in like 10-minute delay. I guess could help with that, something like that, I guess.
All right. And yeah, I think that's it for our first episode of Voice of Ofir, and a big thank you for everyone that is watching this video. Thanks to Spyro for showing up today and sharing his story with us, and also a big thank you to Demarcation for being here and share his understanding of the meta and stuff, which is really fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was quite fun.
Yeah. It's a pleasure to chat with you guys, and I'm your host, Parana E2, and see you guys on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.